الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان.
Assalamu alaikum, my friends. Welcome to another episode of the Revelation Experience. Happy to have you here today. My name is Miraj Mohideen. Today we're going to be continuing our journey in Qur'an year 6. This is a big year. A lot of stuff is happening, and we are covering a lot of Qur'an in this year also. So we've been into this journey for about 6 years now with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Quraysh have failed to produce a single rational counter-argument to the Qur'an. If you look at all of their misgivings, all of their arguments, they're just really flimsy. They're kind of flailing away, well, oh, you're a magician, you're a madman, or so forth, or this or that. But they can't prove anything, and they don't actually have anything rational or factual to say to counter-argue what the Prophet Muhammad is bringing. And while the last few verses that I've told you in the previous episodes may have pierced some of the hardest hearts, like that of Umar, for example, radiallahu an, there's still a lot of confusion out there in Mecca, and people are trying to figure out what to do, what to believe, and so forth. And this is nothing new. We see this kind of response happening amongst the people of Moses as well. When we look at Surah Al-Hud, another Meccan surah, Allah says, "And so it was that we gave the scripture to Moses, but later generations differed about it. If it wasn't for the statement of principle that went out before from your Lord, then the matter would have been decided between them. However, they persisted in doubts and misgivings about it." So that's what we're seeing here also, is that the people are having these misgivings and doubts about the Qur'an. They are just fighting it. And the fight really is not in their heads. They know the truth. The fight is with their hearts. They're being asked to give up their current attachments and to attach onto Allah. Now, in a shift of strategy, see, the Quraysh have been trying to buy out the Prophet. They've been handing him a checkbook. What do you want? Do you want this checkbook? Do you want the crown of our tribe? What do you want that will get you to stop telling us to believe in one God and to take care of our fellow tribesmen? So in a shift of strategy, the very most powerful man of Quraysh, Walid ibn al-Mughira, the head of Makhzum, decides that he is going to try to persuade the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to one final chance of compromise. Now remember, who is Walid? We talked about Walid a long time ago when we talked about the head of the Quraysh above Abu Jahl, the head of Makhzum, who is listening to the verses of the Prophet Muhammad and recognizing that there is something really special about this. I don't know, this is sweet and beautiful. And Abu Jahl is saying, are you believing in Muhammad? And he threatens Walid to expose him. And that's when Walid says, no, Muhammad, he's just a magician. And this was captured in the Qur'an. Remember when we talked about the surah that talks about how Walid was flipping back and forth, he schemed, and oh, how he schemed. And ultimately he started calling Muhammad a sorcerer, a magician, right? It was back in Qur'an year 4 when we were talking about the smear campaign against the Prophet Muhammad. Well, here, this very same Walid, he proposes a compromise. He says to the Prophet Muhammad, "Oh Muhammad, come and let us worship what you worship, and you worship what we worship. We can be partners with you in this matter. If the one you worship is better than what we worship, then we will get some kind of benefit. Whereas if what we worship is better than what you worship, then you will get some kind of benefit." Like, listen to this argument, right? It's like, let's just all do everything, and then hopefully we're covering all of our bases. One of us is right, and if we just believe in both of them, then we'll both get credit for doing the right thing. That's basically how Walid is approaching his religion. And before I move on, just take a look at Walid's mentality. Walid is approaching religion about, what can I get out of this? Yeah, if I am right, then it works out for me. And if you're right and I believe in you, then it still works out for me. He's looking at religion as something that'll help him get something, not recognizing that the purpose of religion, the purpose of revelation, is to uplift the soul, not to get credit, not to get out of hell or get into heaven. It's about, first and foremost, establishing a powerful relationship with God. But if your approach to religion is, what can I get out of it? in the here and the now, you're totally not understanding the whole point of the operating system. The operating system is about developing the relationship, not just scoring points or getting in trouble. So anyway, Walid says, look, you do it our way and then we'll do it your way. Well, how does the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, respond to Walid? He finally, after all of these years of offers of compromise, offers of money and wealth and so forth, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, responds with the very powerful and fateful verses from Surah Kafirun. Allah tells the Prophet, say to them, "O you all who suppress the truth, I don't serve what you serve, and you don't serve what I do. And I will not serve what you serve, and you will not serve what I do. To you your way of life, and to me mine."
قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين.
This is a strong declaration of faith, a line in the sand. This is a moment where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is making it clear to the opposition that there is no chance that I am going to accept what you are telling me to do, because that goes against everything that I'm standing for. It doesn't make sense. A polytheist can easily take on another God, but a monotheist cannot take on anything other than God, because that goes against the very definition of monotheism. Now, what I want to add to this, and this is something that, my teachers have explained to me, and I think this is a very powerful thing to consider, is that when we look at Surah Al-Kafirun, it is coming at a time in the Meccan period. I have it here in Qur'an year 6. It's possible it may have happened in 3, 4, or 5 also, but from a lot of narrations, compiling together, probably around this end of this early Meccan period. The important point here, aside from the fact that it's important for the Muslim community as a whole to take a strong stance against certain platforms. There's just certain things we can't compromise on as a Muslim community. And even though it might not be in vogue, even though it might be unpopular, even though it might get us targeted, there are certain things that are just uncompromising about Abrahamic monotheism. We just will not take any other attachment than God, and we will follow whatever God has told us to do, even if it seems anachronistic, even if it seems old-fashioned to people. We don't care, because there is a reality, there is a haqq, there is a truth that we follow that is in the Qur'an that we believe is the true truth. So when people say that what we are doing as Muslims maybe is old-fashioned, we have to recognize, well, they're just coming at it from a completely skewed paradigm. That's like people telling you, why don't you stay on the middle of the road? Why are you going off to one side? Well, the reality is you are in the middle of the road. It's just that they and the rest of society have veered off to the side. From their perspective, it looks like we're off to the side, but the reality is they're all veered off to the side, and we have just remained in the center the entire time. And the proof of that is just look at the 21st century right now. What were normative understandings in the 1970s were challenged by the 1990s. And what was normative in the 1990s has completely changed to what we are looking at right now. So we can see the pace at which society is changing and what they believe is normative values, normative understandings, and so forth. And yet the people in today's day and age have the audacity to challenge people who have not changed at all and saying, you guys are strange. If anything, it's the people who are veering, who are actually have nothing to stand on. They're the ones who are changing at a pace that they can't even keep up with. They themselves will keep changing their own mind about what is normative 1 year from now, 6 months from now, even 2 months from now. Their stance will change. And so it's really important to just make a clear line in the sand and say, look, I'm sorry, we just can't compromise on this and we need to do this. The other thing that I wanted to say about this is that it takes a certain level of conviction to make that line in the sand. It takes a certain level of conviction to be okay making that public statement and living by the repercussions of that. And that's just a requirement of developing a relationship with God, that you have the courage to take that kind of stance. You have the courage, and you've worked through the Qur'an, you've worked through your commitment to God and your capacity to persevere, that you have the courage to take those kinds of stands. And that's what we need in our community right now, is we need leaders, we need believers who can take a strong stand, not in a harsh way, but just in an accurate and clear way, who can take that stand. And we also have to take that stand within ourselves. It's not just a public stand of telling other people, to you your way and to me my own. In many ways, I honestly feel that we have to take Surah Kafirun and put it into ourselves and tell parts of our own personality, you need to leave. To you, your way. Because I have to go on my way. The true me has to go on my way. So Surah Al-Kafirun is certainly a surah proclaiming to the disbelievers that, but it's definitely a surah for introspection as well, about what are the things that we need to leave behind in our own histories, in our own patterns of behavior, so that we can make a clear line in the sand within ourselves about the truth of what we want to follow. So anyway, I won't go on too much more about that. I just want to do this brief episode on Surah Al-Kafirun. The next surah is a big surah, very important surah in the Qur'an as well. We are going to be talking about Surah Al-Kahf, the story of the cave, and all of the events that led up to that revelation. So I hope this was enjoyable for you. Let me know in the comments how things are working out for you, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون أولئك أصحاب الجنة خالدين فيها جزاء بما كانوا يعملون.